There's just so much clutter in the NFT space right now that, in my opinion, 99% of all NFTs will pretty much become worthless a few years into the future. However, I still firmly believe that NFT technology is here to stay, and that the real tipping point will come when we start to see a lot more and different types of adoption in things like gaming, the metaverse, as well as a way to sort of address the energy expenditure of these types of things. And so the goal of today's video is to help you not only stay on top of some of these trends as they come out, but also identify potentially really winning NFTs before the rest of the mainstream catches on.
I love gold!
And this is particularly important because when assets become really mainstream, that's when prices will usually already be elevated. Before we start though, be sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel for more cutting edge tips about making money online and digital entrepreneurship just like this one. And you can check out my investing channel as well. And with that, let's get started with the video. So starting right off, I'm going to go over a few useful websites you should follow and perhaps subscribe to get some of the latest news on the newest higher profile NFT drops, so to speak, right? And by the way, drops are when NFTs actually are coming out, and they usually set a specific day where people can go on to start minting these NFTs for themselves, right? And there'll usually be like a base fee that people have to pay for to mint them. And after the limited quantity of NFTs have been minted, and there are going to be a lot of different, obviously with one category or one collection, there's going to be, however many unique NFTs that people can generate from these drops, right? So when you see like CryptoPunks or Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs, that's why there's so many different types, because essentially whenever people are minting them, they're each minting their individual sort of unique NFT from that collection, and you could get lucky and get something more desirable and rare. So it's sort of, I guess, the excitement of it. You can sort of gamble by just minting these NFTs and try to get a really, really rare one, which you can obviously later on with that, since you own that NFT or those NFTs, you can take it and then just sell it on another marketplace. And by the way, OpenSea, which is the website you see right here, and I've covered it before, is one of those marketplaces and one of the most popular marketplaces where people can go and find NFTs that are for sale and have been listed by people. And you can also in fact create and list your own NFTs on here for sale, right? However, OpenSea is not the website I want to show you, or one of the websites I want to show you, where you can actually find some of the higher profile and most promising drops, NFT drops, because for example on OpenSea, people, like pretty much anybody, can just sell their own NFTs. So there's really a lot of clutter and pretty much just people trying to enter into this trend without any real sort of backing by anything, right? Just trying to make some quick money.
Stop it. Get some help.
Is what a lot of people are doing on marketplaces like these. However, if you go over to another website, and this is the first main website I want to show you for getting more involved and scoping out some of the better projects, we have rarity.tools. That's the URL, rarity.tools, where as you can see, they actually list and show some of the newer NFTs that are coming out, the newer projects rather. And if you scroll down, they even have a sort of ranking of top collections in terms of not only their total volume, in terms of like the Ethereum worth, but also by owner count, and perhaps more importantly, the 7-day volume, which is sort of momentum based in terms of recently how much hype has sort of gone into these NFTs, right, within 7 days.
Right.
And this is just one of the websites I wanted to show you, but before we move on to the next ones, I'm going to first go through a quick example of how you could, on rarity.tools, sort of scope out and investigate more deeply into any of these NFT collections to see whether or not they're more worth investing, right? Because even on rarity.tools, there could still be, or there rather still is, a lot of clutter, and there still could be some scams here and there, right? And I'll give you some examples of those in a bit. But first of all, if you're going to be looking for example, newer NFT drops, because these are the ones that have yet to be minted or created, and if there is really a lot of hype and sort of backing of that project, then after it's minted, people could potentially resell them for a higher price, right? Again, this is not financial advice, but it's just something that some people try to speculate on and do. But anyway, I would actually recommend, so instead of looking at the main page here, they have a lot of the featured NFTs, right? But another way to look at some of the more under the radar, so to speak, new NFTs is to click on the upcoming link at the top, right? Because this will actually show you, I'm gonna come over here. So if you click on the upcoming link, this will actually show you some of the newer drops that are about to, well, drop, right? So, and this will just be, starting from the moment that you click on it, right? So if I click on it right now, it's September 21st. A lot of these drops will be expected to, some of these happened yesterday, right? But a lot of these drops are coming up, right? So as you can see, we have mid-September, we have today's sales even, right? So there are a bunch of NFT collections dropping sort of as we speak, right? And I'm just gonna scroll down to look at one example. And by the way, it's almost October, so you can expect some more like creepier NFTs or Halloween themed NFTs coming out. This might be a sort of opportunity that people might want to, try to capitalize on, especially those people who are creating and, selling these NFTs or making people mint these NFTs. So you have to be a bit careful because there's a bit of a time sensitive, time frame there. But anyway, let's look at this example called Pixel Pumpkins Club. This is also a sort of Halloween themed NFT, and the way that you can sort of roughly gauge the potential of your project is, by the way, if we compare any of these projects back to things like CryptoPunks, you can't really compare them because they're sort of the originals, right? So they're always arguably some sort of base value for them because they are sort of the first ones to gain prominence, and they're the ones that are really hyped up and owned by actual celebrities and high profile individuals. But a lot of these newer projects are trying to capitalize on a trend. They're trying to be something like a CryptoPunks or Bored Apes, right? But they're really just people try to capitalize on that, right? That's pretty much all it is, or a lot of these projects are, but they can never, because there's so many and they're not like the first ones in the first wave, because there's so many, there really just is a lot of clutter and just random stuff and just stuff that, in my opinion, will be filtered out and forgotten in the future, right? So you have to be extremely careful. But on the other hand, with some of these newer NFTs that come out, for example, if we actually just look at, if I come back here and look at this one called Bone Club's Heritage, it's featured on the front page here. So let me just put Pixel Pumpkins Club on a bit of a pause for now. But real quick, if we look at Bones Club Heritage, this is also a bit Halloween themed, arguably. It's that rather than just trying to directly compete with, say, a CryptoPunks, right, which is more like the original OG, like pure artwork type of thing, a lot of the newer NFTs try to add something additional to them, like utility or something like a game, for example, to make them more enticing, right? And that's how they try to justify their future potential, right? For example, if we look at Bones Club Heritage, not only do they have their, procedurally generated NFTs that people have already started buying, but if we actually look at their website, it'll say, let me just let it load for a little bit. It'll actually say that, and this doesn't just apply to this NFT collection, but a lot of NFTs collections are stating that they're gonna have, after a while, they're gonna develop like a game where you can use these NFTs in some way. They don't really explain it. So for example, here it says, once all the bones have left the graveyard, we'll begin scoping our flagship product, whatever that means, and a members only online game, right? So this is a way that a lot of these newer NFTs try to add utility and try to differentiate themselves and make themselves more appealing to people. But in reality, in my opinion, a lot of these are just somewhat empty promises to build hype, because if you actually look more deeply into a lot of the newer NFTs on even Rarity.tools, you'll find that a lot of them actually state the same thing, right? They'll just say, oh, we're gonna make a game, right? But that's not really like that's not really a justification of the value of the NFT, for example, right? So you just have to be really careful. Even if these collections state that they're going to be doing something, or they're promising like a game or something, most of the time for most projects that's going to be just more of a slogan than anything, right? Even if they do a game, it's probably just going to be a very basic, somewhat crappy game, right? Especially if they're not backed by an actual game developer, or if they're not themselves a game developer, right? So you have to be extremely careful with those as well.
Of course!
And so what I mean is, when you're looking at the future of an NFT collection in terms of whether or not it'll be desirable in the future or have some sort of utility, these are some of the things to know, right? Whether or not, for example, it'll be used in a game. A lot of these NFTs are just stating that they're going to be in a game, but the games are going to suck. So that's probably not going to be one of the better factors or better characteristics to have, right? But on the other hand, if they were to be involved in some kind of bigger franchise, a popular franchise, or a popular game, for example, then there might be some potential there, right? Other than that, there are other forms of utility you can look for, such as, I believe, Steve Aoki, who released some of his own NFTs, are giving owners special priority and sort of admissions to certain shows that he might have, right? So that's sort of a way to add some additional utility to these NFTs, right? And besides that, the future of this is there's a lot of potential types of things you could do with NFTs as well, right? So that's always something to look out for. And you also want to filter out the sort of crap and the hype as well, right? That's sort of the point I'm trying to make here. Anyway, coming back over to Pixel Pumpkins Club, some of the other factors you can look for are the popularity of the NFT, right? So how do we do that? Well, you can actually check out the socials and the Discord of each NFT or each collection. And in particular on Rarity.tools, they usually link the Discord server as well as the Twitter page. So first, if I open up their Twitter page, we'll see that it's got 2,500 followers, but it's not followed by anyone I'm following. So it doesn't seem like a very high profile or very highly anticipated project. So that's sort of a negative against it, so to speak, right? You typically want to see a lot of hype building up for something, and also having like legitimate hype, right? Not just like empty hype, wherein people are tweeting about it, like tweeting about what they're excited about. For example, they think the game that the NFT will be in, or the metaverse that it'll be in, will have a great future and things like that, right? So you want to look through social media pages, especially like Twitter, and you can also join their Discord group, where if you actually just if you actually just click on the Discord link, you'll see similarly how large of a community they have and how active the community is. So if we just take a quick look at the Pixel Pumpkins Club Discord group, we'll see that there are only 309 members with only 47 people online, which I can join and just start chatting with people and trying to understand it a bit better. But from just the looks of this, it doesn't seem like a very active community at all. So it's probably not going to be a very high potential, long-term potential type of NFT, right? And lastly, if we take a look at its website, there really isn't that much that screams out to me as the project being, really worth investing in or anything special, right? Apart from them just trying to sort of trying to sell themselves as something Halloween related. And especially if we look at their timeline, their blueprint rather, they have sort of new things sort of planned in store for us. Like, if they sell 25% of the pumpkins, they'll give people or start developing the option to grow your pumpkins, whatever that means, right? You might get more stuff out of it. Wow. Again, this is just stuff to sort of hype people up, but there's not really anything backing it up, is my point, right? There's nothing that I see, right? Nothing tangible that's actually backing up the fact that this will be a great project after it's released, right? Or that it'll appreciate in value, right? So even if they say like, we're gonna make you grow your pumpkins, we're gonna make a game or whatever, it even says here, Halloween 2021 will be full of surprises. Again, it's just like, at this point, it might as well be empty promises, right? But it could very well just be something that they state to just hype people up to try to mint some of these NFTs and just to get a quick cash out, potentially, right? I'm not trying to accuse them or anything. I don't know, right? There could be some cool things that come out of this, but I'm just saying that I'm really not convinced based on everything I've seen so far, right? And by the way, they also misspelled Halloween, so that's another point deduction in my book. So that was just a quick example of how you can investigate whether or not a new NFT collection is sort of desirable and will last longer into the future, right? Again, you definitely want to be a lot more cautious than sort of falsely hyped up, so to speak. And so here's another website that I think might actually do sometimes better than Rarity.tools, whereas Rarity.tools has a lot of more NFTs that people can anybody can just list. On Nifty Gateway here, this is the next website, they actually curate a lot of projects and work directly with artists to release more sort of high profile and sort of higher end, so to speak, more artistic, obviously, NFTs. And I believe that Nifty Gateway is definitely legit, especially being owned by Gemini, which is a large crypto exchange. Plus, the owners, I've actually heard of them on podcasts and high-profile ones like ARK Invest, Kathy Wood's podcast. So the owners were on there, and I definitely believe that the website and the creators, the company is definitely envisioning or trying to further the NFT and sort of blockchain technology in the crypto space. So they're actually trying to do something or innovate and make a real platform for artists rather than trying to profit off of the trend, right? Unlike a lot of the clutter is actually doing. So on Nifty Gateway, if you're going to be checking out any of the new drops or even artists, you can simply scroll to the top. There are several links. For example, if you click on drops, you can actually just look at their drop schedule. So these are some of the upcoming ones, and they also show you the artist's name, so you can definitely also search them up on, say, Instagram, Twitter, and other socials to just see whether or not these artists are I guess ones that you might resonate with and things like that, what they're all about, to see whether or not you might be interested. And moving on, another sort of higher profile website that works with NFTs is Maker's Place, and I especially like this website because it actually works with real and like popular franchises, right? So for example, they actually have a I don't know if you can recognize this person. She's not necessarily just a fictional character, but rather based on a real person, right? Comment down below if you've noticed or you recognize that person. But anyhow, how I actually find out about new projects on Maker's Place rather is, again, you can also click on drops to look at, again, the same thing, right? They're newer drops that are coming out. So here we have this one that I just talked about. It's actually a collaboration between Boss Logic and Shakira. So this is actually a depiction of Shakira, right? The artist. And Boss Logic himself is actually an artist who I know. I don't know him, but I know of, that does a lot of Marvel and just really mainstream popular pop culture art. So this is a very, very high profile release. And besides just looking at this page to look at their drops, and some of them can be a bit more pricey, right, because of their their involvement with pop culture and real franchises. But I also believe that because of that, there could also be a lot more longevity to some of these pieces of artwork, right? Because these are people and franchises and characters and art pieces that people might enjoy and resonate with for a very, very long time, right? Shakira, Boss Logic, these are very, very prominent people in the mainstream right now. And so speaking of which, how I actually learned about that particular drop with Shakira and Boss Logic was that I actually, let's see. So there's actually, down here, there's actually a space for you to enter your email. And this is how I got a notification, or rather an email, as you can see here, from Maker's Place. So it's called, the title says Shakira x Boss Logic, right? So these are both people whom I recognize. And so here, they actually email you some of their newer drops. So this can be a great way to get in on some of the more high profile drops pretty early as well, right? As you can see, some of these are pretty expensive. These are more the animated pieces of art, but if I scroll down, they also have non-animated ones, so these are a lot more affordable for most people, right? But some of these are still pretty expensive, so you can definitely just see, and maybe sometime in the future they might drop something more affordable, right? You never know. So this is one example, and another one is actually there's a new movie that's coming out, right? Dune. I'm actually gonna go watch it in a bit, so I'm very excited. But Dune is actually a very popular franchise as well. It's based on a novel from the 1950s, I believe, and the movie's coming out. So originally, Dune was gonna release there was gonna be a series of NFTs, which are these 3D models. So it's not just like a JPEG, right? These are sort of more advanced, right? And that's another sort of trend that I want to see NFTs going with. If they become not only like artistic, created by actual artists, but also more difficult to replicate, right? Into the 3D models, interactable like VR objects and game items and things like that, right? So this would be an example of, this was actually an NFT I was looking to buy if I could afford it. However, and this, by the way, the tweet comes from higher profile, or not higher, like sort of mainstream magazine, so to speak, or mainstream social media pages like Hypebeast. You can definitely follow Hypebeast. I'm not following him right now because I follow him on my personal account, but anyway, Hypebeast can be a great place to find out about more popular culture related happenings, including new NFT drops like this one. This is how I found out about the Dune drop. So the problem is though with this, even though I wanted to get in on this and it was supposed to come out on September 22nd if I'm not mistaken, but there was actually some controversy with it where because Dune itself is actually a book or a novel that sort of emphasizes protecting the planet but just trying to save the environment, right? However, one of the criticisms of NFTs and sort of cryptos, and especially since NFTs are mostly built on the Ethereum network, right, the Ethereum platform, and to create more NFTs and to sort of trade in this space, you actually have to use up a lot of energy, right? Because to transact with Ethereum and just a lot of other cryptocurrencies, it takes a lot of energy, right? So that's sort of the controversy that was with this was that having NFTs as something that consumes energy goes against the premise of Dune, right? Which is sort of saving the environment. So that they actually put this drop, they actually delayed this drop indefinitely. They actually sort of suspended it just because of this controversy, right? So this is an example of something that is hyped up, right? That I wanted to get involved with. Again, if I could afford it. They didn't reveal the prices, but it might depend on people who mint it, how many people try to mint it. But anyway, this is something I'll be keeping an eye on. And I also believe that with this in the future, right, a lot of companies, like mainstream companies, right, like movie companies like Marvel or Disney, for example, right, some of them are probably very hesitant, like this is the exact example of that. A lot of them are probably very hesitant to get involved because of this energy consumption sort of debate, right? And so if in the future NFTs become a lot more eco-friendly, or people figure out a way to make them a lot more eco-friendly and consume less energy, for example, by using the Solana blockchain, right? That's a topic for a different video, but there might be different ways to innovate, and also like Ethereum 2.0, different types of innovations in the blockchain technology that makes things more energy efficient. That could be sort of a tipping point, one of the tipping points for NFTs as well, right? Where you can start to see a lot more mainstream involvement. And so to actually, profit, usually people would want to try to get in before the mainstream really catches on, right? That's sort of the difference between, for example, Bitcoin really catching on, right? And before that, like you can see how drastically different the prices were, right? So that's sort of what I'm trying to do here by following all these pages, not only just Makerspace and NFT Gateway, and also what's the other website called? Rarity.tools, excuse me, right? These three websites, following them closely, but also following influencers and different like Twitter accounts and things like that, right? Magazines like Hypebeast. Gary Vee can be a great way to follow the NFT space. He actually created, or his company actually created, its own line of NFTs. So people like Gary Vee, other people who might be involved, learning about politics, well, not just politics, but policy rather, revolving around cryptos and NFTs, if there's any regulation. All of this information that will help you become a better investor and become more well-informed and pick out, more, higher potential projects, and also be notified of some of the new things that come out, right? So there's really a lot of research that can go into it. I could also talk forever about this, but these are some of the examples, or these are some of the top websites I wanted to show you, some of the top ways to find out about new drops and things to really look out for when it comes to really high potential long-term assets, appreciation, and investments. And that is pretty much all I want to show you guys in today's video. And you can also check out my other 2 NFT tutorials, one on how to set up MetaMask for your crypto wallet to buy and sell and trade NFTs on OpenSea, as well as another tutorial on how you can create and generate tens of thousands potentially NFTs pretty easily. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about all this stuff, what you might be interested in investing in, and with that, I will see you in the next video. Peace.